The lower 50s. We've got some cool nights, some comfortable days, but that summertime heat and humidity, it does return by this weekend. More on that coming up in the forecast a little later.
Live from WTVO 17 and your home team, Eyewitness News at 5 starts now.
A fireball and shockwave overtake the Lebanese city of Beirut after a major explosion. Dozens of people are dead. The casualty count is still climbing.
Rockford teachers surround school district headquarters to make their voices heard. We have a live look at the second demonstration in as many weeks.
And some area districts' back-to-school plans leave working parents looking for extra childcare. We'll tell you how one state-line YMCA is working on a way to help those families out.
Good evening, I'm Mimi Murphy.
And I'm Eric Wilson. And Candice talked a little bit about this. The tropical storm making its way up the East Coast is causing some problems. For us, you may have noticed a blue screen on right before this newscast. That's because the hub that airs our non-local programming is down because of that storm.
They are working to bring it back up, and the news at 5 and 6 will not be affected.
In the news, thousands of people are hurt, at least 70 dead after a huge explosion shakes Beirut, Lebanon.
The blast rocked the city's port area and was felt by people miles away. Windows were blown out in buildings across Beirut, even damaging the presidential palace. Ben Weidman is in Beirut with the latest.
Just minutes after 6 p.m. Beirut time, the city was shaken by a huge explosion in the port. The national news agency said that it was caused by a fire in a warehouse with fireworks, but the mushroom cloud that came from the port of Beirut would indicate something else. And in fact, the head of Lebanese General Security, General Abbas Ibrahim, did say it would be naive to conclude that an explosion of that size was caused by fireworks. Throughout the capital of Lebanon, there is severe damage. Windows have been shattered. Window frames have been knocked out of the walls. We are being told by eyewitnesses that they saw walking injured in the street, that people were being treated by other citizens who were injured by shattered glass. The electricity doesn't seem to be working throughout the city very well. One of the main hospitals here, Hotel Dieu, says they have received so far at least 400 injuries. Other hospitals also reporting dozens and dozens of injuries. Not quite clear at this point the number of fatalities, but we hear that the Lebanese Red Cross has called for all ambulances in the entire country to come to Beirut to try to take the injured to hospitals. There's a call out for people to bring as much blood as to donate blood to the injured. The Lebanese government has declared that tomorrow, Wednesday, will be a day of national mourning, but at this point they're still trying to find out exactly how many people were injured and killed in this massive and mysterious blast. I'm Ben Weidman reporting from Beirut.
A Rockford man studied in Beirut and still has family there. Tonight, we'll talk with him about his time in Lebanon and his feelings about today's explosion.
A Freeport woman is killed inside an apartment early this morning. A shots fired call at 1:40 a.m. brought Freeport PD to an apartment on Adelbert Avenue near Sheridan Avenue and East Stevenson Street. The first officers found the home with the door left open. Inside was a 27-year-old woman with gunshot wounds. She died at the apartment. Police aren't releasing the victim's name till family is notified. If you have any information on this killing, call Freeport Police or State Line Area Crime Stoppers. Illinois sees a slight drop in its positivity rate, but cases surge in the southern part of the state. Today, more than 1,400 people have tested positive for COVID-19. That brings the state's total to more than 184,700. 19 more people have died. Death tolls now over 7,500. The statewide positivity rate today is 3.9% compared to yesterday's 4%. Those rates jump in southern Illinois and the Metro East area. That's over 7% in both of those regions.
Yesterday, Chicago teachers took to the city streets pushing for remote learning. Today, a similar movement comes to the state line.
Rockford teachers are rallying for a different start to the school year. Alexis Carpello is at RPS 205 district headquarters where educators are protesting. Alexis, this isn't the first time area teachers have hit the streets.
Yeah, well, that's right, Eric and Mimi. Staff and teachers have demonstrated this rally twice so far. And as you can see, teachers are here voicing their opinions of fear of opening back up their classroom doors. Those here tell me they're looking to draw attention to the potential dangers of in-person learning during a pandemic. The demonstrators have signs that pose questions like, how do I comfort a child who is crying in my classroom? And how can you guarantee we will have enough subs? Some wrote messages on their cars so they can be seen as people move through the streets around Midtown. The goal of this rally, they say, is to get the district's attention. Instead of a choice of in-person or remote learning, they want to push all to remote learning. But for now, live in Rockford for your home team, I'm Alexis Carpello.
All right, Alexis, thanks for that update.
Several state-line schools have already released back-to-school plans, but the possibility of kids staying home more may still be leaving some parents scrambling.
A local YMCA is working to help working parents fill those gaps. Dylan Saraki has more.
We were hearing from a lot of our families, back to school is stressful in general, but especially with COVID-19, that there's a lot of stress around it.
With some state-line kids going back to in-person instruction and others opting for remote learning this fall, local youth organizations are trying to help parents navigate what could be a stressful school year.
We're working with school district officials to try to create the best environments and the safest environments and the most constructive and productive environments for these kids.
Tricia Toussaint is the Chief Operating Officer for YMCA of Rock River Valley. She says the Y will run its Kids Time before and after school program this year, although it may have a different look due to COVID-19.
We can definitely expect for kids to be wearing masks. We can expect for games and activities that are a little bit further apart, more small groups that are spaced out further.
Additionally, the Y will add a new program to support families who opt for full-time remote learning.
Remote learning is a big stress for a lot of our families, especially if they're working. They're not sure how they're going to be able to support their child and their families at the same time.
Camp Cares will run Monday through Friday at the Y's Camp Winnebago. Executive Director Rachel Latham says it will be part childcare, part recreation enhanced study.
We'll be able to help the kiddos that are doing district-provided remote learning with those courses, with the coursework they have, but then we'll supplement it with some camp activities, outdoor education, our climbing courses, all those types of things.
Parents need to work, kids need interaction, kids need guidance, kids need a safe place to be, and so the Y is certainly stepping in to try to create those opportunities, as are several other community agencies trying to create the best opportunities for these kids this fall.
In Rockford, for your home team, I'm Dylan Saraki.
More resources are going towards adult education students enrolled at Highland Community College. The school received an adult literacy grant for nearly $77,000. Money will go towards providing tutors for adults growing their reading, writing, math, and English language skills. The grant comes from the Illinois Secretary of State and state literacy offices. Highland's adult education program serves students in Carroll, Joe Davies, Ogle, and Stevenson counties.
Eyewitness News, your home team with Eric Wilson, Mimi Murphy, Sports Director Scott Leber, and Chief Meteorologist Candice King.
1 week from today, Wisconsin voters will go back to the polls, and despite an order from the governor, masks will not be required to vote. The Wisconsin Election Commission voted last week to recommend face coverings, but by law, poll workers cannot refuse to give out a ballot if a voter chooses not to wear a mask. People who choose to wear them are reminded that workers may need to see your face to identify you.
Voters should not be routinely asked to lower their masks. If they are, they shouldn't take offense at it. The poll workers are just trying to do their jobs.
Anyone voting by mail may need to drop it off. The post office recommends you have it in the mail 1 week to make sure it's counted on time.
Beloit City Council members approve a measure it hopes will prevent the spread of coronavirus. The resolution was passed last night. It ensures the city is in line with Wisconsin Governor Tony Evers' executive orders. Those require everyone to social distance and wear masks when outside of their homes. Face coverings are also required indoors at places like bars, salons, and churches. Gatherings of more than 25 people are being prohibited at city-owned properties, including parks. The resolution will be reviewed September 9th.
Now, your first warned weather forecast with Chief Meteorologist Candice King.
Absolutely gorgeous out there for us this afternoon. A live look with our Merced Skytrack camera out at the Rochelle Airport. Just some fair weather cumulus clouds for us today. Much improved from what we had yesterday afternoon when we were dealing with the clouds and at times the drizzle, and temperatures that didn't even make it out of the 60s. Felt more like late September, early October than it did the beginning of August. And while our temperatures are still going to be a little bit below average these next couple of days, we do get that heat and humidity that returns as we go into the weekend. Currently 70 right now in Belvedere, 74 in Rockford, down to 69 degrees our current temperature in Freeport, 72 in Rochelle, 70 in Dixon, and 71 right now in Monroe. Very comfortable out there. Dew point temperatures in the 40s, low 50s. So this will give us an idea of what our temperature tonight will try to cool to this evening. So that means it'll be another cool night tonight. In fact, should be a little bit cooler than what you woke up to this morning. Temperatures in the low to mid 50s. 73 degrees. Our current weather watcher Bob here in Rockford's checking in. He's also got a dew point right now of 47. We'll lose some of that cloud cover here as we go through this evening. In fact, we've got some very cool nights ahead. Next couple of nights, those temperatures in the 50s and low 60s and very comfortable low humidity afternoons. High temperatures in the 70s. But as our winds begin to shift around to the south and southwest later this week going into the weekend, that does pull in more moisture as that high pressure system overhead bringing us the nice dry conditions will actually help pull in a little bit more moisture. There is some moisture, and that's why we do have some cloud cover out there, but not enough to provide us with any sprinkle activity. So while some of those clouds are growing just a little bit in height, it's still pretty dry out there. So not expecting any precipitation, at least for the next couple of days. We'll lose the cloud cover again as we've got this big dip in our jet stream. Where the rain, the wind has been coming down in the storm surge. Tropical storm Isaias continues to move up the northeastern seaboard here. Right now centered over New York as it moves a little bit closer into eastern Canada. That's part of the problem here locally with some of our commercials and programming as it did provide some very gusty winds along the eastern seaboard. You see all the storm reports, tropical storm force winds, but even with that, several tornadoes reported late last night and early this morning. It did make landfall in North Carolina about 11 o'clock yesterday evening. And a lot of times with tropical systems that come close to or make landfall, you can get those funnel clouds and you can even get tornadoes. Now, they're not long-lived tornadoes like we see here in the Midwest or out over the Great Plains, but they can cause damage, another element on what they have to deal with along the East Coast. As that storm moves out over the ocean open waters, there is very little to no friction out there. So with that, the air is moving freely. As that storm begins to move closer to land, it encounters a bit more friction. The winds then begin to slow down. So you get differing winds and differing wind speeds at different levels in the atmosphere, and that's how you can get those tornadoes. Thankfully, they don't have to worry about that too much here this evening as the storm is now inland and will continue to weaken as it moves a little bit further up the eastern seaboard. Closer to home, we've got clearing skies for us here this evening. Partly cloudy skies, very similar to what we had today for tomorrow. Now, cloud cover does increase going into Thursday. We might get a sprinkle or two, but I think on Thursday we actually end up with more cloud cover than any precipitation. So down to 53 degrees for us tonight. Temperature tomorrow up near 77. A little warmer than where we were today. Still very comfortable. Beautiful afternoon. And we've got a couple of nice days. We will add in more cloud cover on Thursday. Highs will climb into the lower 80s by Friday. Upper 80s close to 90 degrees though, and you'll feel the humidity, especially Sunday and Monday of next week.
A big difference to the start of next week compared to the start of this week.
For sure.
Thanks, Candice.
Scott's in next with sports.
He'll tell us which hometown pro's opting out of his first NFL season.
Thanks for waking up with us every morning here on Eyewitness News.
If you weren't able to be with us, here's what you might have missed.
Are you going to be like Michael Jordan one day?
Yeah. Around 2, he would always want to play on his little tight hoop. But I think he's going to be something great.
We love all of these positive stories, so please send them our way.
Join Whitney, Elliott, and Joey weekday mornings on Eyewitness News. Now, the Napleton Sports Desk with Sports Director Scott Leber.
The number of NFL players opting out on this season keeps growing, and it will continue to grow until Thursday afternoon's decision deadline. One of those players who've decided not to play is Harlem High School graduate Anthony McKinney. McKinney recently informed the Tennessee Titans of his decision. He signed with the Titans back in April as an undrafted rookie free agent. Because he wasn't drafted, he's not eligible for the $150,000 stipend that other players who opt out will receive. McKinney was the starting offensive tackle for Texas Christian University the past 2 years. I've been able to reach him for comment, but he told Justin Mello of DraftWire, quote, "This virus is no joke. My family was exposed to it in the early stages of the pandemic, and it almost cost us. With another wave expected to hit this fall, I simply wouldn't have been able to forgive myself if something happened and I wasn't there." Another Harlem graduate is switching teams because of the pandemic. A.J. Wentland is signed to play with Kuopio Steelers in Finland. He had been playing the German Football League with the Dresden Monarchs, but that league shut down last Friday due to the rise in coronavirus cases in that country. The last 2 years, Wentland led the German Football League in tackles, setting records from his linebacker position. Aaron Rodgers has been monitoring the NFL players who are opting out on the season. He says there was never a chance that he was going to opt out.
I did not consider it. I was always going to play. I respect, any person who decides to opt out. There's a lot of different circumstances around. I'm sure each individual case. It's just a different year, and I respect all those guys who decided to make that decision.
Our station on the East Coast is still having technical difficulties because of the tropical storm. So if you're watching on WTVO, World News Tonight will air coming up next. And we'll have local news coming up at 6.
And Fox viewers will actually get to see an episode of State Line Quiz Bowl. We're all working to, our station on the coast is working to bring all that back up and hopefully get these technical issues fixed for you.
Meantime, here our weather is picture perfect out there, Candice.
Yeah, that's right. We don't have to worry too much about any tropical impacts, at least locally for us. Nice and clear as high pressure remains in control. Temperatures tonight will dip back into the lower 50s, so a very crisp kind of fall feel when you wake up tomorrow morning, down to about 53 degrees. We've had a decent breeze come in this afternoon from the northwest at about 10 to 15 up to 20 miles per hour. That wind will start to lighten up a bit as we go through the night tonight, and it should stay light during the afternoon tomorrow. We made it up to 75 degrees today. We'll be up to 77. Upper 70s for tomorrow afternoon, back down to 58, 79 for Thursday, 80s, 90s by the weekend.
Thanks, Candice.
And thanks for watching. See you at 6.
Stay safe.